In today's episode, Alessandra asks, what is the best way to prepare a social media marketing report for 2018 to send to management? I keep track of followers and number of posts by month, but maybe there's some other data I should include. So, good question, important question. The key thing to ask is this. There's a whole bunch of questions to ask, but reporting of any kind, but especially in marketing reporting, should always tell a story. And the story that most management wants to hear is, what's in it for me? What does this do for me? Right? How does this help me tell my boss my story and give me the raise or not fire me or any of those things? So what is your management measured by? What are their performance metrics? And in your job, if you're not just a social media manager, if you have more than one role or more than one area of responsibility, what else are you measured by? Are you also measured by like website traffic or email traffic or any of these activities that that are part of your role? All your reporting should always tie back to those KPIs, to whatever it is that you are being measured by and what your management is being measured by. So when you're doing reporting, if let's say your management is measured solely by marketing qualified leads, right? That's their job, is to generate marketing qualified leads for the sales team. Well, then anything in your report that you send to them should tell the story of how the work you're doing and what you've done that has led to marketing qualified leads. So if, for example, when you pull all your data together and you gather it and you run an analysis on it, if you can show a strong causal or even correlative relationship between followers and marketing qualified leads, or engagements and marketing qualified leads, then that data goes in the report. If you can't prove a relationship between whatever metric you're looking at and marketing qualified leads, guess what? It doesn't go in the report because no one's going to care about that. Now, you will have some cultural stuff to overcome because a lot of people are used to having the truck backed up and data being poured on their desks, and that's not something that you want to do, because all that does is add clutter and obscures the story that you're trying to tell of either, hey, we knocked it out of the park, let's keep doing what we're doing, or hey, we didn't get the numbers we wanted, we need more resources or a different strategy or something like that. In your report, the rule of thumb is this for any kind of report or dashboard, and this is Avinash Kaushik's rule: the higher up in the food chain you go, the less data there is, and the more analysis, insight, and strategy there is. So, if you're sending a social media report to the CEO, it's very possible that you might have like one or two stats like, hey, marketing qualified contributed 32% of qualified leads to sales. That might be the only piece of data in your report, but you would then have analysis to explain to that person, here's what you need to know to inform that number, to tell the story of either the success or what you need to be successful. Avoid the temptation to throw in data just for data's sake. Throw in only the things that tell the story that you're being measured on and that your management's being measured on, plus anything you were explicitly asked for. So I had this one customer one time that their CMO deeply cared about the number of Twitter followers they had, even though from an analytical perspective, that really didn't matter, right? It didn't contribute to their KPIs. But that was something the brass was really, really interested in. So of course you include that, because it would be insubordinate to include to refuse to include data that you weren't explicitly asked for. But make sure that you're focusing on those things that lead to the outcomes that you're being measured on. Now, if no one has ever set down KPIs for social media, this is an opportune time to define those. So you'll have to do your own analysis, but whatever it is that you are being measured on, and whatever it is that your boss is being measured on, that sort of forms the starting point for what your KPIs are. What are the things that, if these numbers go the wrong way, you get fired or your boss gets fired. Your boss cares very deeply about those numbers. So whatever they are, that begins the formation of KPIs. And then again, you do your mathematical analysis to figure out what other numbers have a relationship to that KPI. There are a number of statistical techniques to do that. It's a technique in machine learning called driver analysis, and it's both statistical and machine learning depending on the method you use. But that's something that I strongly recommend that you use and you do, so that you can figure out, okay, this is what is likely contributing to the KPI. Whereas there's no relationship between these numbers and the KPI, and therefore we probably shouldn't invest a whole lot of time gathering the data about them, measuring them, and so on and so forth. Generally speaking, there are probably only going to be about half a dozen numbers that contribute to a KPI, unless you have a really, really unusual social media configuration. The other thing that you'll want to do is with your analytics, for reporting about what you will have the various numbers and the KPIs that are relevant, like followers or likes or engagement or whatever the numbers are that lead to your KPIs. But you will want to provide a little bit of qualitative data as well. So if you look back at the year that was, in the top performing X% of content that you created and that your competitors created, what did they have in common? What did you create that performed well, that led to marketing qualified leads? What were the precursor numbers? Like, was it engagement and likes that led to those marketing qualified leads? And then look at using those same publicly available measures like likes and engagement, do an apples to apples comparison to a competitor to say, here's the things that our competitors performed well on, and we should use this to inform our strategy. Look at things like topics and stuff, concepts, ideas, content, what worked for you, what worked for competitors. Now, that may not necessarily go into your year-end reporting. That may be something that you keep for yourself to help guide your own strategy, but it may be something like a bullet point in a report itself. But again, keep your reports simple and keep them focused on the story that will help your boss get promoted, or at least not fired, and that you have data for, that you can get reliable data for. But avoid the temptation, just back up the truck and pour data on people's desks. That doesn't help anybody. It consumes a lot of your time because you have first to do the report, and then you have to explain to people what all that stuff means, and that never goes well. So, great question. Reporting and year-end and all that stuff is important, but it's also important to do it well. If you have additional questions, leave them in the comments, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel and the newsletter, and I'll talk to you soon. Want help solving your company's data, analytics, and digital marketing problems? Visit trustinsights.ai today and let us know how we can help you.